when do you hope that households will see the real growth? Because these are quite big projects that you're talking about that will take some time to deliver. When will households see a difference?
Well, in the plan for change, we set out that we want living standards to go up. We want people to feel better off.
So you want that, so how are you going to do that?
So already in the budget, you will have seen that there's a pay rise for the 3 million who are the lowest paid because of what we've done with the living wage. So already for them, they are feeling the benefit. Those in the public sector where we've been able to settle the disputes that were going on for many years, whether that's in the health service, the police, our armed services, they're already feeling better off because of those pay deals that went through earlier this year. In addition to that, the measures that we put in place will improve living standards. It will take some time, of course it will. One of the biggest mistakes, I think, of the last 14 years was the idea that everything could be fixed by Christmas. It can't. The planning will take time. The change to regulation will take time. We've got a National Wealth Fund which is getting record investment into the country. That'll take time, but already some of the lowest paid are already feeling the benefits of a Labour government through what we did in the budget.
So my final one from me for now. That's money going into households' pockets, but I'd go back to the growth point. That is not going to create growth, is it? Because you're putting money in through pay rises and through minimum wage increases and with benefit uplifts. So how are you going to see growth helping households? When do you see in your timeline? What's your vision for when we will see real growth in this country? And why do you think why is the government so confident when the forecasters are much less confident?
Well, the forecasts for the OECD, the IMF, Bank of England, OBR are all for growth, so they're all heading in the right direction, but I want them to go further and faster. I am convinced that it's the planning, the regulation that will make a huge difference here, plus the private investment. We had an investment summit, as I think you know, earlier this year, which brought in £63 billion of inward investment into this country because the message is resonating that now is the time to invest.
How much of that 63 billion was new investment announced on the day? Because some of that was previously announced, I think, was it not?
A lot of it was new, and very many of those that made the investments on the day put out statements saying we're making this investment now because of the changes this government has carried through. It's way in excess of the commitments of there was an investment summit, as you know, the year before, but the investment summit the year before, I think, yielded about 20-something billion. At the end of the investment summit that we had, £63 billion was pledged, and many of those who were pledging it were really clear it's because there's been a change of government and the conditions have changed.
Can you tell us how much was new?
Well, nearly all of the 63 billion.
Okay, well, we'll perhaps...
I'll certainly, I'm very happy to write in with some better detail of that.
Keir Starmer's performance in the exchange with Dame Meg Hillier was a spectacular demonstration of political vagueness, indecision, and outright incompetence. His inability to provide clear, decisive answers on when households will see tangible growth was nothing short of a masterclass in how to dodge responsibility while saying absolutely nothing of value. It was a painful exercise in political theatre, with Starmer stumbling through half-formed sentences, peppered with vague ums and yeahs, as he attempted to paper over Labour's glaring lack of a coherent economic vision. When Dame Meg Hillier directly asked when households could expect to see real growth, Starmer's response was an incoherent jumble of platitudes about living standards, pay rises, and record investment. He boasted about a so-called plan for change, which seems to consist of nothing more than wishful thinking and recycled promises. His assertion that households are already feeling the benefit, thanks to marginal pay increases and living wage adjustments, reeks of condescension, especially when millions across the country are grappling with a cost of living crisis. The claim that Labour has settled disputes in the public sector is equally hollow, given the ongoing unrest in vital services like the UNES. Starmer's words sounded less like a leader's roadmap for the future, and more like the ramblings of someone grasping at straws. The most laughable part of this debacle was Starmer's insistence that change will take time, Of course, major projects take time, but Starmer's delivery made it clear he has no tangible timeline, no measurable milestones, and certainly no accountability. Instead, he deflected, blaming previous years of mismanagement and offering excuses about why Labour can't deliver immediate results. His admission that everything could not be fixed by Christmas was not just patronizing but also emblematic of Labour's broader malaise, a party incapable of taking bold, decisive action. When Hillier pressed him on the question of economic growth, Starmer's response became even more embarrassing. He clung to forecasts from organizations like the IMF and the Bank of England, as if they were a badge of honor, failing to acknowledge that these forecasts are far from groundbreaking. Starmer's vague assurances that growth is heading in the right direction were devoid of specifics, leaving Hillier and the audience justifiably skeptical. Then came the discussion of the $63 billion investment. Starmer's inability to clarify how much of this was genuinely new investment was a glaring indictment of his leadership. His fumbling response, peppered with phrases like "a lot of it was new," and "I'm happy to write in with better detail," exposed a shocking lack of preparation and knowledge. For a leader aspiring to run the country, not having precise figures or being able to confidently defend his government's achievements is unforgivable. It made him look not only out of touch, but woefully unfit to lead. This interaction encapsulated everything wrong with Keir Starmer's leadership. He is the embodiment of political inertia, a man who speaks in circles while offering no solutions. Labour, under his guidance, appears to be a party of excuses, delays, and half measures. If this is the best Labour can offer, it's no wonder so many voters are looking elsewhere for leadership that is bold, decisive, and effective. Starmer's performance was an embarrassment, not just for himself, but for the Labour Party as a whole, a painful reminder that sometimes the greatest obstacle to progress is the leader at the helm. Now let's get to the next news.
How many MPs have you got?
We've got 5 at the moment. Looking forward to some by-elections, and then we'll have a lot more. And look who's polling.
5 out of how many?
Look who's polling to be the next Prime Minister.
650?
Look who's polling. We always look forward, right? That's how we sort of try and progress things. And at the next election, Nigel is currently polling equal first to be the next Prime Minister. You're looking forward to it?
Well, absolutely. Always a great pleasure to talk to him. But if I'd quoted a poll to you, you would have said, "Oh, polls go up and down." But
and they do. They do. But isn't it exciting that in this great democracy of ours, we've now got 3 parties polling in the mid-20s. That means you've got more debate, more discussion about different things, about how to run this country. What we do know is the Tories broke this country. Labour's in the process of bankrupting, and it's only reform that's going to save it.
Well, we'll have to wait and see, won't we? And I'm sure that if Elon Musk was giving you some money and you knew, you would tell me, wouldn't you?
Reform UK Deputy Leader Richard Tice launched a blistering attack on the political status quo, singling out Labour leader Keir Starmer for his perceived failures to address the urgent challenges facing Britain. Tice, with characteristic candour, declared, "Nigel is currently polling equal first to be the next Prime Minister." But this statement underscores not only the rise of Reform UK, but also the depth of public disillusionment with both the Conservatives and Labour. Tice accused the Tories of breaking the country with years of inept governance, but he reserved his sharpest criticism for Starmer, whom he sees as the very embodiment of political weakness, vagueness, and incompetence. Tice painted a damning picture of Labour under Starmer's leadership, describing it as a party devoid of vision, courage, and solutions. According to Tice, Starmer has failed at the most basic level of leadership, providing a coherent plan for economic recovery and growth. While the cost of living crisis tightens its grip on millions of households, Starmer has offered little more than platitudes and recycled promises that do nothing to alleviate the suffering of ordinary people. Tice argued that Starmer's obsession with staying safe politically, avoiding controversy, taking no risks, and sticking to centrist talking points has rendered Labour completely ineffective as an opposition party. Far from holding the government to account, Starmer has allowed the Conservatives to continue their mismanagement virtually unchallenged, leaving voters with no clear alternative. Even Labour's economic proposals, which Tice derided as reckless spending plans wrapped in platitudes, fail to inspire confidence. Starmer's promises of pay rises and improved living standards ring hollow against the backdrop of Labour's inability to articulate where the money will come from or how it will deliver tangible results. Tice pointed to Labour's recent claim of settling public sector disputes as an example of their shallow posturing. With strikes continuing in vital sectors like the NHS and education, Starmer's boasts of progress come across as either delusional or deliberately misleading. For Tice, Starmer's leadership has reduced Labour to a party of excuses and half measures, incapable of seizing the moment or addressing the crises facing the nation. Tice's scathing critique not only dismantled Starmer's record, but also served as a rallying cry for Reform UK's growing base of supporters. With Nigel Farage polling as a viable contender for Prime Minister, Tice's remarks highlight the potential for a seismic shift in British politics, one that could see the end of Labour and the Conservative stranglehold on power. As Tice concluded, only Reform UK can save Britain from the mess created by years of Conservative failure and Labour incompetence. Thank you for watching. If you have any thoughts or opinions, feel free to share them in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel for more updates, and join us on Telegram for exclusive content and discussions. Your support means a lot.